What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We here back in the Nordic countries. We got the most common names in the Nordic countries. We're about to check this out, see what it's about. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hey, send me more video suggestions and I got you. Let's check it out.
Hi guys, I hope you're having a splendid day out there. Today we're going to talk about names, and particularly names in the Nordic countries. A couple of days ago I started thinking about names for some reason, so it led me to do some research, and today I wanted to go through that research together with you and talk a little bit about the most popular names in the Nordic countries. So starting off, I'm going to start off with my home country, Sweden, and Sweden has a nifty little page called SCB where you can search for names and get statistics of how many are named whatever name you're searching for, and also you get a nifty little top 10 list, which is nice. So we're gonna go through the 5 most popular female names in Sweden. Anna. Second place, Eva. Third place, Maria. Fourth place, Karin. And fifth place, Kristina. Moving on to the male names, where the most common name in Sweden is Lars. Second, Mikael. Third,
Miko kind of sounds like Michael. Michael is very common here in the States. That's what that kind of look like, I guess, without the CH.
Fourth, Johan. And fifth, Erik.
Eric or Erik for y'all, but Eric is a common name here too.
And if you're from Sweden, you can probably agree that you've probably met anyone with these names. And moving on to surnames then. Here's the 5 most common surnames in Sweden. First place, and Andersson.
I was gonna say that. I said I've seen a lot of people even comment under my Sweden videos. His last name is Andersson.
Here's the 5 most common surnames in Sweden. First place, Andersson. Second place, Johansson. Third place, Karlsson. Fourth place, Nilsson. And fifth place, Eriksson.
So I've seen number 1, 3, and 4. Very, very common. At least I've recognized those. Those are very familiar to me. But that number 1, Anderson, or how y'all say it is different, but we say Anderson. That's a very common surname here in the States as well. I know a lot of Andersons.
As you can see, most of these surnames has the ending son, which means that you're the son of blah blah blah, whoever it is in the beginning. So for example, if you're called Andersson, then you're the son of Anders. However though, this is an old tradition in Sweden and it's not a thing anymore. So most people who are called Andersson doesn't have a father who is named Anders, or they could be called Andersson even though they're girls, so it's more of a tradition of keeping the surname in the family, I suppose. Moving on to the list of the most popular names for newborn babies. Starting off with girls, number 1 is Alice, number 2 is Alicia, number 3 is Olivia, number 4 Ella, and number 5 is Ebba. Moving on to boys then. On place number 1 we have William. Place number 2, Oscar. Place number 3, Liam. Place number 4, Lucas. And on place number 5 we have Oliver.
Okay, that William, I ain't, believe it or not, number 1, William. I feel like I have about 10 plus people whose first name is William, but we just call them by their nicknames. The nickname is like a short name that we'll give them, or another name that we'll give them. But I got an Uncle William. I got a cousin named William. I got a few cousins named William.
Interesting. That was Sweden. So we're gonna move on to the next country, which is Denmark. When I did the research for Denmark, it was pretty easy as well. They have a pretty nice page for searching for names there as well. And they also have a top 10 list for all the names. So if you're interested in that, I'm gonna leave links to all of these pages down in the description below. So be sure to check that out. All right, starting off with the most common female names. And I'm sorry if I can't pronounce these names correctly. I'm not Danish. Okay. Starting off with Anne, Kirsten, Mette, Hanne, oh, Anna. Interestingly enough,
Anna and Annie?
Hanne, oh, Anna.
I would have thought number 1 and number 5 would be like the same kind of.
Interestingly enough, Anna is also a popular name in Denmark as in Sweden. Moving on to male names. Again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Peter, Jens, Mikael, Lars, Henrik.
Okay, so that Mikael and Lars is the same. as in Sweden.
My
Peter is
Danish is horrible. Sorry about that. Again, we have Lars on the top 5 list here in Denmark, as well as in Sweden. Very interesting. Also, Michael is a name, or Mikael. Oh, Michael?
Michael.
Pronounce that. Moving on to surnames then. What are the most common surnames in Denmark? Nielsen, Jensen, Hansen, Pedersen, or Andersen.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, as you can hear here.
So theirs is more of the sin, and the Swedish is son.
Interesting. The ending of all surnames end with sen, which is pretty similar to son. It's a little bit different from Sweden, but it's still the same kind of philosophy. Now we're gonna move on to the newborn babies in Denmark. What are they being called today? Starting off with the girls. Ida, Sofia, Emma, Alberta. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Alberta?
Josephine. And moving on to the boys then. We have William, Victor, Oscar.
William is very popular, I'm telling you.
Noah. Oliver. And now it's becoming interesting because of a lot of the newborn baby names in Denmark are pretty similar to the ones in Sweden. We have William, we have Oliver. It's interesting how the popularity in names kind of goes between the countries. So with that said, we're gonna move on to Norway. And talking about Norway, it's pretty interesting. I couldn't find a top 10 list in Norway, but I could find a statistics page where I had to do my own sort of research there and calculate the names to see what names are the most popular ones. But we're starting out with the female names, and they are Norge, Anne, Inger, Kari, Liv, Ida. Those are the most common names in Norway for females. And remember again, these are for all generations. Okay. So I bet most of these names are for older people. There aren't that many young people that are called this, as with the Swedish and the Danish names. Moving on.
That's a true thing right there, because like when I think about like my grandmother, my uncles, like the way their names are, the next generation names are, every generation name, like it just changes, you know. I feel like it changes according to the times and stuff like that.
On to the male
people come up with some interesting names over time.
Names, the most common male names, which are Jan, Björn, Per, Ole, or Lars.
Lars is popular.
And yet again, we have Lars here in this list as well, which is very interesting. We're moving on to the surnames in Norway, which are Hansen, Johansen, Olsen, Larsen, or Andersen. Again, as with Danish, you can see that the ending ends with sen here. And it's pretty similar to the Danish top 5 list, actually. Moving on to the newborn babies, starting off with the girls. What are the most popular names in Norway nowadays? On the first place, we have Sophie, Nora, Emma, Sara, and Ella. Those are the most popular names nowadays as of 2017.
I can kind of see that all, at least these 3 Scandinavian countries, they, it's like one name. It's always one or two that kind of, you know, that's pretty common. You know, especially, I believe probably with the newborns. Like nowadays, the names seeming to be more closer.
Moving on to the boys. Then we start up with Jakob, Lukas, Emil, Oscar, and Oliver.
Okay, Oliver is popular, but that first one, Jakob, they have like the H sound, I believe. Here in the States, there's Jacob. And Jacob is very common. I probably knew about 10 Jacobs growing up.
Lukas, Emil, Oscar, and Oliver. Yet again, we have names that are in both the Danish and the Swedish names for the most common names for newborn babies. Newborn babies. I don't know where that came from. If you have any theories why these newborn baby names are popular in, for example, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, please leave a comment down below. Moving on to Finland or Suomi. And doing the research for Finland was particularly interesting because I had to search pages that were in Finnish, and I had to kind of translate them. And you know, Google and Finnish, it's not cooperating very well. And hopefully I got the correct statistics here. And if I didn't, please feel free to correct me in the comments down below. But this is the statistics that I managed to get a hold of. And we're starting out with the most common female names. And again, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing these names correctly. I do not speak Finnish at all. Maria, Helena, Johanna, Anneli, and Karina.
Okay,
I don't know if I'm pronouncing these names anywhere remotely close to how they're supposed to be pronounced. However, it's interesting that, for example, Maria and Karina resembles some of the names in, for example, the Swedish list, where we have Marie and Karin. Moving on to the male names, the most common male names in Finland. Starting off with Juhani, Johannes, Olavi, Attero. I've never heard that name, Attero.
Easy.
And finally, Tapani. I suppose
that those are different. Hannes.
I've never heard that name, Attero. And finally, Tapani. I suppose that these are names of older generation people. I don't know. Please tell me in the comments down below. We're moving on to the surnames, the most common surnames in Finland. Top 5. Starting up with Koronen, Virtanen, Mäkinen, Nieminen, and Mäkinen.
Okay, those are different.
There's a lot of people in Sweden.
Scandinavia, I feel like they had a lot in common. Finland, you know, when it comes, theirs is very different.
That has grandparents from Finland, and they still keep their Finnish names. I've heard a few of these surnames even here in Sweden. Okay. Moving on to the newborn babies. What are the most popular names nowadays to name your babies in Finland? Starting out with the girls. Maria, Sofia, Aurora, Emilia, Olivia. Before. The most popular name for a boy is Juhani, then Olavi, Johannes, Mikael, and Ilmari. Okay. The top 3 names is Juhani, Olavi, and Johannes, which is also the most common names in Finland.
Oh, that's kind of
we haven't seen that in any of the other lists. I don't know why that is. It's very interesting, though, that the most common names are also the most popular to name your babies. With that said, we're moving on to the final country, which is Iceland, and this is a country that I was particularly interested in because I enjoy Icelandic language and names in particular, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. And when it came to the Icelandic names, again, it was a little bit tricky to get the statistics of the names. So this is based out of the statistics in 2012, so it could be a little bit changed today. But we're moving on to the most common female name in Iceland. Gudrun, followed by Anna, Sigridur, Kristin, and Margaret. Pretty interesting names there. We're moving on to the male names. What are the most common male names on Iceland? Starting off with Jon, Sigurdur, Gudmundur, Gunnar, and finally Olafur. And when it comes
to still kind of sound like Oliver.
Gunnar, and finally Olafur. And when it comes to surnames, there's no real list for that. Because on Iceland, your surname is dependent on your father's name. And so there's no statistics for this. However, though, we have the statistics of the most popular names for newborn babies. So starting out with the girls, we have Anna. Second, Sara. Third, Katrin. Fourth, Gudrun, again. And finally, Maria. Moving on to the boys' names then. What are the most popular names to name your baby boys on Iceland? Jon, Aron, Daniel, Victor, and Sigurdur. Again, very interesting list. That was some statistics about the names in the Nordic countries. And feel free to post a comment down below if you have anything to add to this discussion. I think it's very interesting to hear about the most common names in certain countries. And I might do other countries as well in the future. I hope you had a splendid time here together with me, because I had a splendid time together with you. And until the next time I see you and your pretty face.
Oh, thank you.
Have a splendid day.
No, this was good. Definitely gonna have to subscribe and check out more. Yeah, I always, names are important. Your name is important. I know. growing up, my name was not common around everybody, and they would be like, Dartannon, you know, looking at me crazy. What kind of name is that? You know, I got that a lot growing up until like it was either a teacher, some adult was like, oh, is that like the, you know, Three Musketeers? And I didn't know, so I'm like, oh, I don't know. Then somebody broke it down, told me, well, there was a Three Musketeer named D'Artagnan, and he technically was a Three Musketeer, or he wasn't. He was like the fourth guy or something like that. So I just ran with that. And then finally, when I was an adult, my grandma told me, oh, my favorite movie was the Three Musketeers, so I named your dad after that. Then my mom named me after my dad. So, but you know, your name is important. Your name is valuable. So I think it's cool. And some of the names he mentioned, of course, I've definitely seen them in the comments, whether it's the surname or the first name or whatever. But I think this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I seen like it was kind of like close when it came to Scandinavia. You see it started like changing a lot more when it got to Finland and Iceland and stuff. So, but that just lets you know how different, you know, everybody is, the different countries are, and the names and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool. But that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, send out those recommendations, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.